Greetings, my name is Chad and welcome to my YouTube channel. We're here in Houston, Texas, Zone 9. Now, to give you just a little information about my background, I am originally from Michigan. College took me to California and then finally here to Texas. And what I really want to do is use this opportunity here in Texas to take this small suburban lot and really increase its biodiversity. Now, I have some job experience in landscaping and gardening, as well as I've done a lot of self-research about permaculture. So I'm excited. Let's get started.
Now, looking at this from a bird's eye view offers us a unique perspective. I have color coordinated the boxes. So the red and orange, those are full sun to part sun, while the blue and dark blue, that's part shade to full shade. And really the goal for each garden bed is the same, and that's to have it be filled with perennial plants, offering lots of nectar and pollination for all the insects and mammals, while at the same time offering some edible options for us here. Let me get my feet out on the ground and show you what's really happening.
I want to give you a brief overview about what has changed since I've been here over the last year and a half. So starting right in the backyard, this garden bed was extended, and this whole section down the side of the house is brand new. As well as there's a large Meyer lemon tree here, and two other fruit trees were right in its shadow, and so I transplanted them out in the yard, as well as, it's hard to tell, but this is a very large white mulberry tree. Very delicious, and I had to cut most of it back, but it's all for the best. These bananas were here. I have extended the bed out a little bit. So starting from this palm tree, I had to remove rock from this entire garden bed. It used to essentially look just like this with all this stone. But just a year and a half later, and it looks a lot better. Now I did the same thing on the other side of the yard, just to the right of this loquat. Here's some stone. Bunch of plants coming up through it now. But I removed all of this stone. And let's see what else is new or has been changed. Dry brick stacked compost pile with some sticks on the side for any other projects. Works really well. Now there is a couple shady garden beds, right up next to the house, but the sago palms are just so full and so beautiful. Why change any of it?
As I try to figure out how to work my camera, let me just give you a quick recap. I have shared my garden master plan, as well as what was present in the garden before me moving here and what major changes I have made along the way. Now, let's get into the actual species and the ecology of the site itself.
Starting off with the potting station. Last year, I planted 4 of these celosia. You see this pink bloom? Beautiful. All the insects love it. But be careful. It will self-seed and spread everywhere in your yard. So the star of the show for these pots is this purple blooming plant, which is a Salvia deserta. It usually likes to live a little farther north than 9A, but it can tolerate the warmth. It blooms really nice in the spring and fall. But moving into the newly planted wildflower bed. Now I don't know what a lot of these plants are. There's probably about two dozen different seeds, but I do know a few. Like this right here we got a tomato that somehow snuck its way in. These triangle leaf plants are all Texas sage, the little red blooms. Oh yeah, here's a much better tomato. I don't know what some of these plants are, but they should be blooming soon. Now what I did plant in here were a couple roses. A couple knockout roses. There's 1, 2, 3. But this is more of a long-term project. I really want huge diversity of flowers in here, something blooming all year long. Moving over to this fruit tree, I really don't know what this species is. It's got a fuzzy underleaf and smooth, shiny coating on top. It's doing much better now that it's been transplanted out here in the yard where I can actually get sun. Same with this nectarine tree. Used to both be living behind the lemon against the fence. And now when I did transplant these last winter, a lot of my compost had pumpkin seeds. So a lot of pumpkins have just volunteered themselves. Most of them have just fallen off, but quite a few are actually getting pretty big. In fact, got a pretty big sucker right here. So we'll probably end up baking the seeds and then using the rest of the meat of the fruit just to create more compost and probably help feed these trees. Especially this nectarine tree. It tried to leaf out this spring, but as you can see, it got terribly damaged by pests, but also by sun, and it's probably lacking some nitrogen. This is very heavy clay soil, so I did mix in compost. Not all of it was fully broken down, so it might have absorbed some of the surrounding nitrogen, and that's why we're seeing this and all this yellowing of the pumpkin leaves. Now, I wish these bananas would bloom for us, but for the past 2 years that we've been here, we've gotten frost. So no fruit, no flowers. Maybe we'll get lucky this winter and we'll have a mild winter, no frost. Got some onion just here. It really likes all the humidity and moisture, but this is mostly just weeds right here. Now for these garden beds that I've been working on for the past year, one of the first things I did was add a lot of milkweeds in because they love the moisture, and then a lot of strawberry is coming in right underneath it. And where there isn't strawberry, there's sorrel, or more commonly known as clover. Right here we have an althea. It's pretty similar to the Buddleia right over here. Why don't I show that? It's in bloom. This is a dwarf Buddleia. It attracts a lot of hummingbirds and butterflies, and so does the althea, but they're pretty young right now. We do have this Mexican plant growing up through some of these milkweeds here. I forget the name of this one. I think the common name is cigar plant. Nice orange tube-shaped flowers, great for attracting hummingbirds. And that's what we have just everywhere. Just these 4 or 5 species, and of course, nice big nightshade, good for getting more pollinators in here. Moving down, finally getting into some different plants. Right here we've got a snapdragon in bloom. We've got a Dutchman's pipe down here. This is a pretty unique one. It's not your typical vining. It's not going to grow up, but it will become a ground cover and grow sideways. Let's see, what else do we have down here? We've got a shrimp plant coming back. Got a beautiful sage here coming back. More salvia, desertas, and another Buddleia. More shrimp plant down there, and of course, the star of the show, Texas lantana. Even prettier if you have some milkweed popping up through it. Some more snapdragons. Now, here we've got a camellia, nothing too special. This is a Gulf mealy grass. The pretty purple tufts, it probably wants more full sun than being under this massive oak tree. So I'm thinking about moving it maybe to the wildflower area for a nice change of plant. But other than that, we've just got some uptick coreopsis just starting to bloom. Smaller one over there. And of course, a lot of different wildflowers, natives that are just deciding to poke up through. Virginia creeper, great for insects. That's finally doing well. And other than that, in this deep shade, we've just got some Turk's caps, a great native for the hummingbirds. Just dotted every so often to see if they'll take. Now I also have a lot of inland sea oats planted back here. They're just starting to come up. They're really difficult to see. But that's something that I want for this whole shady bed, is for it to be full. Kind of like the bananas down there. Starting off with more bananas, more crepe myrtles, not my favorite plant. This is a beautiful Texas native that I'm forgetting its name. It blooms purple in the spring and smells like soda or Kool-Aid. Very cool. And evergreen, very important. Don't have many evergreens out here. When the frost comes, everything dies. So that'll be nice to have something. This is a mallow hibiscus called Howdy. Just gets bigger every year. And then other than that, looks like a raspberry volunteered. And it looks like my Durantas are coming back. These guys will bloom purple as well. Also a very lovely scent and great for attracting pollinators. This loquat though is a beast. Gonna have to cut it back this summer, see if I can get some more fruit. It hasn't been giving us a lot lately. And wherever you see red, this is all Texas sage. I only planted one, and it only takes one to get a whole bed full. Now you see some other lankier things like a bunch of stinging nettles, and I decided to leave those because a lot of weeds, just like that one, pull up nutrients from deep in the ground and make them more available to this fruiting tree right here. So why not let them be? Another beautiful native, the Texas sage. Just gorgeous when it decides to bloom. Now over here, looks like we have some wild fennel. That'll be great for a host plant. And all this purple here is actually a trailing lantana. It's not native, but it's not invasive. It's not going to spread. But it is pretty, and it's a nice contrast with this dwarf coreopsis. Have a bit of a different bloom, as well as it looks really pretty with the milkweeds, all this yellow and purple. We do have some clover, a little bit of strawberry on the ground, but not as much. And over here we have a beautiful native holly tree. Can't wait to see its berries. This is its common name is Mystic Spires salvia. You can see it looks visually very different from the Deserta salvia. Mind you, the Deserta just got finished flowering. I used to cut the milkweeds in half all the time and spread them through the yard, but now just get this seed cluster, let them spread. Quite a few salvia and milkweed here. Went really heavy on the pollination. And here we're finally getting some more variety. This is a rutabacia. Hasn't decided to come out yet. And an echinacea that just decided to bloom. As well as another divine nightshade behind it. And, oh yes, pink skullcap. This is a Mexican native. It really doesn't like the cold. Once they establish, it is just a beautiful pink plant. That's a must-have. Haven't done anything with this small section, as well as most of the shady area back there. These are just some Japanese or Chinese ligustrums. They can definitely come out. Not very important. But I don't know what I would replace here. We get crazy amounts of rain. So it would need to be something that would help with flooding or slowing down water. I'm not sure.